Fox News alert, you close it and you won't have a country. You won't even make it back to your effing country. That was the warning Trump gave the Iranians this weekend in Switzerland after the mullahs got cute and said they closed the strait. The Iranians blamed it on Israel, saying they violated the MOU by waging war in Lebanon. More on that later. But Trump says if the Iranians don't seal this deal, we'll blow the ish out of them and then collect tolls and take 20% of their oil. Trump even told their president, quote, "You better watch his mouth or we'll take over the rest of the country." After the tongue lashing, the Iranians threatened to walk out of peace talks. But it was very different behind the scenes.
Yes, they did threaten to walk out, or at least there were social media threats that they would walk out. But we were negotiating well past 1 in the morning yesterday, so they didn't walk out. What we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the President of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the President is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it.
JD just spent 36 hours in a room negotiating with the Iranians at Lake Lucerne in the foothills of the Alps. Inside, it felt like a marathon. But there was a lot of progress, especially on nukes. Stand by for details. The strait never closed. Tanker traffic went way up. 17 million barrels sailed out Saturday. Like usual, the Iranians were bluffing.
We're doing very well with respect to the Hormuz Strait. We took in more oil yesterday than has ever gone through the strait. You probably see that. We have an oil gusher. We have two things. We have an open strait, and we have a country that will never have a nuclear weapon. Will never, ever have a nuclear weapon.
A weekend in Switzerland, and Vance is coming home with a straight peace plan.
We also wanted to make sure that we actually set up the coordination mechanism so that we could demine the Straits of Hormuz, so that when there are the conflicts that inevitably come up, we can make sure we work through them rather than that leading to escalation, and that is exactly what we did yesterday.
The biggest headline from the Swiss summit, the Persians are letting our inspectors in.
The Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in permanently denuclearizing or permanently ending a nuclear weapons program. And
Witkoff added that Iran's letting in UN and U.S. inspectors. Trump says this is Iran's way of ensuring nuclear honesty. There aren't any dollars without trust and the dust. We're not airmailing them pallets of cash like Barack. After we get their uranium, we're unfreezing their money, but they can't use it for jihad. They have to buy American.
If there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people.
This pays back American farmers hurt by the fertilizer crunch. So in a single weekend, a mechanism to keep the strait open, inspectors at their nuke sites, and we're making American farmers whole with unfrozen Iranian cash. What else? Israel's going to set up a Hezbollah hotline, so whenever there's airstrikes, they can hop on the phone and talk each other down.
We wanted to make sure that we had the proper coordination set up so that if there is shooting, if Hezbollah fires at Israel or if Israel responds, if there are other conflicts that arise in the region, we're actually talking to each other and figuring out how to stop the shooting, how to make the region safer, our allies and everybody else.
Yesterday was the first time shots weren't fired between Israel and Hezbollah since March. So we have one day under our belt. Congrats, guys. The question is, Netanyahu has an itchy trigger finger. How do we keep it in check until we sign the final Iran deal? Israel's been on the warpath since October 7th. I get it. And he doesn't seem to be ready to call it quits.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his forces are not leaving Lebanon. That is a sticking point.
Who did he tell that to you?
He said it publicly in Israel.
Well, we're going to take a look at it.
Well, what would you do to make sure that he doesn't?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver.
U.S. intelligence is warning the White House that Israel could undermine our peace deal and go hog wild in Lebanon. Netanyahu's under pressure at home to fight. October 7th, still fresh. It's an election year, and a majority of the country wants the politicians to lay siege to the north and full regime change in Iran. Now, this isn't Trump's agenda. Our priorities are keeping the strait open and demolishing the dust. Iran senses an opening and could use Hezbollah to fracture the U.S.-Israel alliance at a time when U.S. opinion of Israel is falling. Israel's been a great military ally during Epic Fury, but there's going to be some friction ahead during the peace process. Ultimately, Trump's the boss, and all the pieces are in place.
We laid a very good foundation for a successful final deal. The final deal is the House. We set the foundation. We haven't built the house, but we've laid a successful foundation to get to a good place for the American people.
Right now, Vance is still in the sky. Technical teams from both sides stayed in Switzerland to create a 50-day pathway to the final deal. Iran has called the talks major progress. The Arab mediators are calling it positive. Hopefully, we're on the cusp of a new Middle East. Bombs and blockade turned out to be better negotiators than Barry, Biden, Kerry, and pretty much every diplomat in the last 47 years.
If Iran doesn't live up to their agreement, or if they're not behaving, I will do what I have to do.
Does that give them leverage, the Iranians leverage over you?
Oh, you're so leverage. You know, their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their leaders are all dead. Their whole country's a mess. You have to hear the conversations. Who wants to be president? Well, I don't want it. Nobody wants to be president.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.